Well, hello, friends. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. It is Monday. It is week number 2 of Free Agent Frenzy, and come Wednesday, it will be officially the first week of the league NFL season in the books. It's been a little bit quieter than usual for free agent frenzy, but for the Dallas Cowboys, technically, we have not signed any new free agents. We do have three players, free agents, that are coming into the building today for a visit. We'll see if anybody gets signed. My eyes are a little bit bloodshot. I was up quite late last night because we ended up doing an interview with Blaine Davis. Blaine Davis was one of the three witnesses for Michael Irvin um, with everything that went on, with everything that went on at the Marriott. And we got to speak with him last night. And so, between editing and getting it out and all that, it was kind of late when I got it done. But we will be premiering that at 11 o'clock today. So, you definitely want to check it out because his story contradicts almost everything that we've seen from Marriott. And I just don't see where. And no, you know what? I'm going to let you guys watch the interview and you decide on what you think as far as where this case is going and so on. In the meantime, the Cowboys, we are actually adding a little more firepower without losing key players that we had last year thus far. Although we did lose Hankins, Hankins did sign a deal, I believe, with the Detroit Lions. That is a big loss for us. That's a guy that I truly wanted to bring back. But, the good thing at least is interior defensive linemen are a lot less expensive than, say, a wide receiver or a quarterback. And hopefully the Cowboys will see a sense of urgency to get the defensive line taken care of. I'm still upset that we ended up letting John Ridgeway go. I think down the road we're going to be looking at um, John Ridgeway much in the way we look at Danny Amendola, who was a guy that we had in our fold, but let get away and became a really good player throughout the NFL. So with us, we're of course adding Gilmore, and of course adding Brandon Cooks. The Eagles have been having losing quite a few key players on their team. Now, Eagle fans will never ever say that anything's wrong. They're going to say that everything's great. We've got Philly 500 and this Howie vision and all that. But key off-season losses for the Eagles. They lost their offensive coordinator and their defensive coordinator. Now, again, Philly 500 didn't like, of course, his defensive coordinator much, but, they did get you to the Super Bowl. But they lost TJ Edwards. Last night they lost CJ Gardner Johnson. That's another big one, their safety. They lost Kazir White, Miles Sanders, Hargrave. That's another big, big, big loss. They lost him the first day. Marcus Epps, Isaac Samalo, and Gardner Minshew. I won't say that's a big loss. They replaced him in kind. But it's definitely been the Buzzards picking on over the body of the Eagles and definitely taking away some key parts for them. We'll see how the rest of free agency goes with them and if they actually get their quarterback signed and what they're able to do. But make no mistake about it, they're still a great team and a team to reckon with. Are they the same team as they were last year? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what happens on the field. But it is hard to repeat, as we know in the NFC. Nobody's repeated since they did the 2002, 3, and 4 season. And it doesn't matter if you've been to the Super Bowl or not. We had three Super Bowl champions that did not win the division the next year. So there's that. For us, now the question is, are the Cowboys done in free agency and now they're just looking at the draft? Do they feel like they've done enough with the two trades for fifth round picks? Or are they actually getting the bug and enjoying this? I want to go to ESPN here and take um, just listened to their assessment of the Brandon Cooks. The thing about Cowboys and Cowboy fans are, no matter what happens, nobody's going to be happy. It's never going to be enough. So let's listen in and see what we got.
I mean, like Amari was 20, and Cooks they're going to pay 12. So,
well, they're going to pay, the 12 to them, but then I guess you say the 6 to Houston. So, okay, that's been a little less money.
Well, that's I mean, that matters, right? I mean, the reason they cut Amari Cooper was for, because they didn't want to have to fit him under their cap last year.
Mm-hmm.
And it cost them, sure. But I think with Brandon Cooks, like that, what the Cowboys went into this offseason looking for is more explosive playmakers on the offensive side of the ball. They felt like they got to the playoffs and CeeDee Lamb and Tony Pollard were the only two guys that fit that description.
That's
and once
true.
Pollard got hurt, Lamb was all they had.
Mm-hmm.
So Cooks can still take the top off. He can still run. And I think he brought something that they didn't really see on the free agent wide receiver market, right? Like, you could get Juju Smith-Schuster or Jacoby Myers or Alan Lazard, but those guys aren't going to do what the Cowboys lack. And I think they feel like Cooks can. And at the cost of a 5th rounder, a 6th rounder, and $12 million, it just made too much sense.
There you go.
It does feel, though, like, to Key's point, Dan, that they're at best running in place. Like, I think if they could redo it, they don't make the Amari Cooper deal, because he was a guy who could win his matchup.
Yeah.
And the things that they thought they had, maybe they actually didn't have enough of.
Right. I think they thought Michael Gallup would come back stronger from the injury than he did.
Mm-hmm.
And that may happen this year. Like, I think that a year removed from that injury, he might be a lot better. I remember they signed James Washington. That never turned into anything. So yeah, I think they thought
unicorn.
They had a better wide receiver room last year than it turned out. In part because Gallup didn't really get his explosiveness back.
I am curious, like now with these two additions, right, Gilmore and Cooks, like where do you think their receiving core stacks up in the NFC?
I think they probably still need a tight end, right?
Yeah.
But no, I mean, look, it doesn't have the star power of some of them, but Cooks, CeeDee Lamb, I think is a real number one, and I think you'll see him get a contract extension this offseason probably that reflects that.
Mm-hmm.
And then Cooks is a guy that.
Most traded player.
You talk about Amari Cooper. I think they felt like CeeDee Lamb can be a similar type of receiver to Amari Cooper. So
Yes.
it's redundant to have them both. So I think that was part of it, as well as Cooper's salary cap numbers. So now they transition to they bring in Brandon Cooks, who's a different type of receiver than what they already have on the roster. So it's got the right kind of variety. I think stack up to the rest of the NFC. I mean, top of my head, I'm trying to go through it. In their division, Washington's is probably. I like their receivers.
Cooks is their seed.
You got a quarterback.
If you're thinking that 3 receivers, Dan,
Yeah.
if we go 3 wides in the NFC,
Yeah.
they're probably in the top 4.
There you go. That's a lot better than we were last year.
I haven't really sat down.
I mean, you got to think Thielen's gone out of Minnesota now.
Right. But they were already going to replace him with
Yeah,
Osborne.
but so when you think about that, it's Ozzie, there's Jefferson.
Mhm.
Depending on what happens in New
Jefferson
Orleans.
and any 2 other guys would
It's
be
like
like a
Devontae
top.
Smith.
Mike Evans and Chris Godwin.
DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett.
So
Mhm.
I think they're probably in that 4 spot because I do like a healthy Gallup. Brandon Cooks can run with the
Mhm.
wind.
Yeah.
And then CeeDee Lamb is somewhat coming to he's still got too many drops for my liking at the position, but he's starting to come into his own in terms of proving that he is probably going to be paid like a top receiver here in the next year.
So I think get him a tight end, get him another running back, and I think you'll say Dak has what he needs in terms of weapons, and they just got to make sure that line is fortified in front of him.
So what does
There you
OBJ do? Odell Beckham Jr.
I think he'll have. I mean, look, there are other teams talking to him. I think
Mhm.
Buffalo is serious. Kansas City, Baltimore, both New York teams. There's a market for him. It's just, it's a
Where?
question of what you're willing to pay a guy who didn't play last year, who's coming off 2 ACL surgeries. How do you structure the contract appropriately so that there are incentives that protect you, but you also, you're trying to convince him to sign because what you're offering him isn't perceived by him as an insult. So I think that's that tweet about $4 million is not enough. I'm
Mhm.
Just
gonna
had it up on ESPN too. Here, let's put that back up,
Yeah.
guys, so people can see.
So
So here it is. I'm just so confused where the quote is from me that said, I want 20, all I'm saying is 4 ain't enough. So where do you think he comes in, Dan, and who can afford him?
So, I mean, I think we've seen situations like this in the past where the guy ends up taking a one-year deal that's got incentives that can push it higher, and then it's a prove-it situation. Because, again, I mean, if he's being realistic, he didn't play last year.
Mm-hmm.
He's coming off multiple ACL surgery. He looked good in the workout from what I understand, and you know the skills, the hands, the ability to, the way he sees the game, the way he runs routes, there's a lot there that can help you. But you just don't know how explosive it's going to be with that knee having been repaired twice. So, go back to the year the Eagles won the Super Bowl. Remember they signed Alshon Jeffrey to a one-year deal, and it was like $10 million or $8 million, whatever it was, with incentives. And then he ended up getting extended by them that December before the season even ended because he had shown it. I think that kind of thing, obviously add more to it because it's been several years. But I think that kind of situation is his best bet on a good team. Like, go to the Chiefs, go to the Bills, go somewhere that
he's not the guy to be the guy.
Performing at a high level with a high level quarterback, and it can only benefit you.
Why I think he'll fall in that 5 to 9 range with incentives. I think that's where he'll be. If Odell thinks he's going to gain more than that, he probably won't play this year. And because the way the league is looking at, way these teams look at things, he's obviously the ACL, then he's had another ACL. He's a little when you start to creep up into that 30-year-old plus range, they start to say, well, he's a little long in the tooth. We haven't really seen him, all of those sort of things. And then when you look at the receiver landscape, the market did not explode. There was not like this explosion on the receiver side. There are certain receivers that have taken pay cuts to somewhat prove-it deals. When you look at my nephew, for instance, in New Orleans, he was hurt. You know what he said? Hey, man, give me that $10 million. Give me another 5 in incentives. It'll get me to 15 on a one-year deal. Now I'm going to come back and hit y'all across the head after this year. And that's kind of what OBJ should be thinking.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to play this year. Like, I mean, you can't. I mean, if you sit out 2 years, that's going to.
He might as well see your career's over.
They're going to forget about you. Well, if he doesn't get what he wants, he shouldn't play this year. He's got to play.
No. I'm saying, no, I'm not. I'm saying if he doesn't get what he wants, then maybe he doesn't play at all, because if he's stuck in his heels are stuck in the ground, I don't see where they're going to go over and above with a guy that's just coming off an ACL.
So Odell Beckham Jr. wants Giants general manager Joe Shane to call his agent.
Wow.
He wants star running back Saquon Barkley to be the messenger. Okay.
Wow.
Here's the tweet. He publicly sent this out. Tell Joe, call my agent. He replied to a Saquon tweet with a laughing emoji. I got some more blank left to do. Now the Giants are going after speed guys. You can see that all over the place. Does Odell still qualify in that category?
Well, we don't know. But see, the thing about Odell, like, I always thought Cleveland thought of him as like a field stretcher, deep threat type, and I don't think that's really
it wasn't
the right
that
way
was not
to
it.
use him. I always thought Odell, and the Rams did this when they got him, and the Giants did it early in his career. Like, he can win at the line. He can be. The Giants would use him, and the Rams did this too. Like, inside the 5-yard line.
We're going to end that right there. The question is if Odell is actually that cheap, should the Cowboys revisit Odell? If nobody does sign him and say, you know what, $5 million, we'll take a chance on a prove-it deal. That could be interesting, because then you've got now a nice rotation of wide receivers, because you never know when you're going to lose a playmaker, and having playmakers is actually key. So we're going to go ahead and get ready. I've got a big day at the Red Brick House going on, and don't forget 11 o'clock today, 11 o'clock Eastern. We will be premiering it. Shout out to my man, Mr. Davis. Mr. Davis. He's actually making Eagle fans of mine, because there are some great Eagle content, Eagle people. See, I can't even say it. I can't. It just won't come out of my mouth. It hurts to actually say that there are good Eagle fans that are out there. And as always, I appreciate each and every one of you guys. And we'll have any news on the Dallas Cowboys as we bring in 3 free agents. Peace out.